Hour of Devastation, Chapter 8. Hour of Devastation. Chandra. She wanted this day, this awful, horrendous day, to be over. Nothing had gone the way they planned. She had thought Gideon's plan was brilliant, free of the useless details that always ended up changing anyway. It was a short, simple plan that played to their strengths. Perfect. Even if it wasn't perfect, it gave her free rein to burn something. She needed to burn something to deal with all the horror and bloodshed she had seen today. She couldn't burn away grief. She couldn't burn away terror. She couldn't burn away heartbreak. So she resolved to burn away Bolus instead. But it wasn't working. Yes, he was a dragon, and she knew that. But she thought there was a decent chance she could still hurt him. It wasn't like he was literally made of fire. She needed to try harder. Bolus looked down at the planeswalkers and smiled. And then there were three. I didn't want to know your dear departed necromancer, but between us, I admit I know a fair bit of necromancy. Do you have an opening in your gatewatch? Is there some type of application process? Shut up, Chandra screamed. She hated people who talked, and talked just to show how clever they were. She hated treacherous necromancers who pretended they were your friend. Most of all, she hated losing. Hated it. Her fire was blinding white, coruscating rivers of flame that lashed the dragon. Bolus's eyes narrowed, and he was forced backward for the first time in the fight, letting Gideon drop to the ground as the dragon retreated. I heard him. I did it. It was the only exhilaration she had felt all day. Gideon, Nissa, we can do this. Gideon was already up, making his way over toward her. Nissa was strangely silent. Chandra didn't know what he was up to, but she trusted her to come up with something. Enough, foolish child. The dragon lofted into the air, out of reach of her strongest fire blasts, but that didn't stop her from continuing to launch them. It felt good to be doing something. Chandra Nalar. You had so many useful characteristics. Powerful, emotionally unstable, easy to manipulate. Refreshingly predictable. Refreshingly unpredictable unpredictability. I really wanted to make this work. Bolus' voice boomed through the empty air. I am not easy to manipulate, she thought, her anger revving up. Her flames lit up the sky. But fire against a dragon? A dragon? I have standards. Bolus ascended even higher, his wings flexing wide. He finished his climb and dove down back towards Chandra, his wings now hugging his massive body. Bring it, she thought. This is what she wanted, an opportunity to let it all go. Let everything burn. Fire poured out of her, free and unreserved. If this is the way she would die, then she would take the bastard with her. As the earth rose around her, a large spur of rock and soil and root thrust up from the ground, seeking to impale the oncoming dragon. Bolus swerved at the last moment, but more spurs launched, deadly spears aiming to kill. He avoided them, but circled around wide. Yeah, go, Nissa! She glanced over Nissa on the far side of the ruined plaza and saw her friend completely outlined in a green aura as she whittled the earth against the dragon. She knew Nissa would come up with something great. Chandra's now protected, cradled between several spurs of thick rock, able to launch her fire at will. We can do this! Bolus's tail crashed through the rocky spurs, shattering them as though they were thin glass. Propelled by the dragon's tail, a large wave of rock and dirt rushed toward Chandra. She reflexively cast a huge fire blast to repel the oncoming assault, but the wave still hit her, knocking her into one of the far spurs of rock. Pain coursed through her body. Several of her ribs were broken. She groggily struggled to stand as she saw the sinuous form of Bolus waving through the broken spurs, his agility mind-bogglingly for someone that large. He swooped in and grabbed her in a huge claw. She tried to summon more fire, but she was in so much pain. Bolus squeezed his claw, and she felt another rib snap. She screamed in agony. Bolus smiled. Yes, Chandra, let me show you what a dragon can do. An enormous earth elemental rose behind Bolus, swinging a massive fist in the dragon's jaw. Bolus grunted and turned to face the elemental, dropping Chandra to the ground. Wow, that's a lot of pain. She struggled to get up. She needed to help Nissa. Her head swam. She stumbled once more. The ground trembled as the element and the dragon fought. In the distance, Chandra could see more titanic earthen shapes rising to join the battle. Chandra smiled, despite her agony. Maybe they could actually do this. Fine. I was being overly modest. I'm not just a dragon. Bolus uttered a single word that left Chandra's ears as soon as she heard it, and black tendrils rose from the ground, entwining themselves around Nissa's chest and throat. Strangling her, she thrust violently in her grip. No, I have to. Chandra took a step toward Nissa and screamed in pain. She could barely move. Nissa looked at her and shouted, "No, go! Leave!" The tendrils attacked ceaselessly, and even as Nissa shredded them with magic, more rose to take their place. "No!" Chandra coughed. There was blood in that cough, red drops that sprayed onto the broken rubble below. She tried to steady herself, resisting the urge to vomit. "Where's Gideon?" She swiveled around and looked for him and realized she was seconds away from passing out. Nissa yelled at her again, "Go, I'll be fine. You'll die. Go." Chandra couldn't find Gideon. She couldn't save Nissa. She couldn't beat the dragon. She couldn't even stay conscious. "If I stare, I will die." She didn't want to die. She planeswalked away in a fiery blaze. The only trace left of her presence, the blood that stained the broken rocks, as it too evaporated under the fiery heat. Nissa. Nissa felt relief as Chandra departed the world. She could not hope to save herself and Gideon while also protecting grievously injured Chandra. She wasn't sure she could save herself and Gideon still. This battle was not going well. Nissa was barely holding her own against Bolas' spell, while her elementals lay dormant, no longer fueled by her will as she fought to stay alive. Early in the battle, after it became obvious any shallow summonings would have no effect on the dragon, she had sought a deeper communion with the earth. It was like fighting through a thick sludge. Somehow the dragon's presence had intensified the land's resistance to Nissa's touch. But she had finally broken through, finally wrested enough control to move the earth to her will, only for Bolas to have crippled her with a word. She had thought her destiny to be different in this world, had thought her time in Kefnet's temple opened up possibilities previously unimagined, but no. Kefnet and the other gods lay dead in the streets, their threads cut short, their uses unexplored. And this battle, this confrontation against the evil that was Nicol Bolas, the Gatewatch had been exposed. Nissa had never questioned the purpose of the Gatewatch before. There was always an immediate need, wrongs to be righted, evil to be overcome, and it had worked. For so long it had worked, until now, until a dragon of immense power and intellect had shown the errors of coming in unprepared and underpowered. Perhaps there was a better way. Such musing occupied her as she fought to regain control of the land. If she were to have any chance in this fight, it would be through the earth. Nicol Bolas' thoughts penetrated her brain, rank and oily. "This land is not yours, Elf. It is mine. You may not touch it." Dark necrotic energy burst through the land she had struggled to control. The corruption lashed through her, shriveling flesh and tissue. She cried out in agony. She realized the truth now. She never had a chance. The land had submitted to Bolas long ago, had acknowledged its master. She had to be away, but the tendrils of corruption held her in place. The dragon approached slowly, his smile wide. "The time of pretend is over. You are blessed to witness the beginning of the beginning, Nissa Ravane. It is a prize few mortals can claim." Something blasted into the dragon's side, low and hard, knocking him off balance. It was Gideon. But Nissa had no time to think of how to help him as her very breath was stolen by the constricting tendrils. She used Gideon's interruption to flee from this dead husk of a world. Gideon. Rage consumed him. Only once before in his life had Gideon felt so hopeless. He had resolved never again to watch his friends die as he had when Erebos had killed all they held dear. This entire battle had been a nightmare from the beginning as Bolas had kept him out of the fight. Gideon could only watch in impotent frustration as Bolas dispatched of Jace, then convinced Lana to abandon them without a fight. He saw Chandra and Nissa both narrowly avoid death, and he was glad they had escaped. He could not fathom dealing with the loss of his friends again, especially knowing it would be his fault. He scrambled up Bolas's legs, seeking desperately to ram his sorrel through the dragon's throat. Bolas grabbed him in a large claw and thrust him backward toward the ground. All of Gideon's invulnerability had proven little worth against an opponent with the size and strength and mass of the dragon. He struggled and shook against Bolas's talons, but could not escape. "You will not win. We will beat you." He spat the words in defiance, but the words sounded empty even to him. He needed to keep fighting. "Will not win? Will not win?" Bolas's laugh rumbled through the plaza. "Gideon Jura, you are very bad at analyzing reality. I fought against thousands of generals, thousands of tacticians and strategists and battle masterminds. You might be the worst. Let me help you. Ignoring obvious reality is a fatal flaw in our line of work. By all means, I understand the importance of aspirations, but being able to accurately assess the facts in front of you is an essential skill in the trade." Gideon was aware that the dragon sought to inflame him further, throw him off balance, but Gideon knew that goal was already accomplished. He'd stopped thinking logically a long time ago. And that is why I lost. You partner with illusionists, but you are the true illusionist. You regard yourself as invulnerable. Yes, a conjurer's trick, Gideon. This is how vulnerable you are. One of Bolus's talons began to glow as it pressed into the invulnerable shield protecting Gideon. The talon pushed, and the shield parted like melted butter. The talon's sharp point puncturing shield and armor and flesh alike. Gideon grimaced in shock and pain, but did not scream. I could kill you, Gideon, any time I want, but I suspect you would not mind dying, the way you play so carelessly with your life and the lives of others. Gideon thrashed his head back and forth, desperate to escape. No, far better for you to live today, to know how pathetic you were, how useless you were. Even better, this is how little I care. I give you the choice, stay and die, or leave and live. I am content either way. The dragon's smile gaped like a fresh wound. Gideon was shocked to realize that a part of him yearned to stay, to no more feel the guilt of losing Drasus, Alexo, and all of his irregulars. All the people he had seen die on Zendikar. He didn't want any more death in his hands. He could just let go. Distressing images swarmed through his head. Drasus staring at him, spitting the word coward. Erebos looming over him. The laughter of the god of death rattling in his head. Yes, coward, come to me. Chandra screaming at him. Traitor. He could stay and die, or he could leave and live, and learn, and fight. Bolus did not think Gideon's choice mattered. In the end, it was the dragon's indifference that settled his choice. He would prove the dragon wrong. He willed his body through the blind eternities. The hole of the dragon left in his shoulder only the most visible of his wounds. The plaza was silent and still, lit only by the fires still burning from Chandra's rampages. A few minutes later than desired, Tezzeret planes walked in. You're late, Nokobolas said. Did you doubt? Tezzeret had turned in long enough to know the right answer. No, master, I did not doubt. I was delayed. You defeated them as quickly as you predicted. He glanced around the plaza, looking for bodies of planeswalkers that weren't there. I can seek to find where... No, it does not matter. This was better than blood. Tezzeret looked at him quizzically, but he knew he would offer no more explanation. Master, I should update you on... later. Go and tell Ral Zarek to come to me. His progress is too slow. Tezzeret hated being used as an errand runner, which was part of why Bolus enjoyed doing it so much. An unbalanced Tezzeret was an effective Tezzeret.